After the miraculous collapse of Jericho's walls, Israel's eyes turned to the wide expanse of Canaan before them. This was the land God had promised centuries earlier to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a land fertile and rich, flowing with milk and honey, but now guarded by powerful nations with fortified cities and seasoned armies. The Israelites were no longer nomads wandering in the wilderness. They were a nation on the march, called to claim their inheritance. Yet every step forward would test their courage, obedience, and trust in the God who had brought them so far. Their leader, Joshua, carried a heavy burden. Once Moses' assistant, now the commander of God's people, he faced the daunting challenge of leading tribes who were new to warfare against entrenched Canaanite kingdoms. But Joshua had already learned the lesson of Jericho. Victory did not come from numbers or weapons, but from God's presence and power. Their next target was Ai, a smaller city compared to Jericho. Confidence was high after their dramatic victory, but hidden sin lurked among them. A man named Achan had secretly taken plunder from Jericho, items God had declared off-limits. Because of this disobedience, when Israel first attacked Ai, they were shockingly defeated, chased away by the city's defenders. Fear spread, and Joshua fell before the Lord, crying out in anguish. But God revealed the truth. Israel could not stand against their enemies while sin remained in their camp. Once Achan's sin was dealt with, Israel attacked Ai again. This time, with God's blessing and a clever ambush, the city was captured and destroyed. The lesson was clear. Holiness and obedience mattered more than strategy, and sin in even one heart could endanger the whole nation. News of Israel's victories spread like wildfire across Canaan. Kings and rulers trembled. Some, like the people of Gibeon, resorted to cunning, disguising themselves as weary travelers from a distant land to trick Israel into making a peace treaty. Joshua and the leaders, failing to consult God, made a covenant with them. Though the deception was later discovered, the treaty had to stand, teaching Israel that reliance on God's counsel was essential in every decision. Soon after, the surrounding kings banded together, forming coalitions to resist Israel's advance. One of the most dramatic battles came when a confederation of Amorite kings threatened Gibeon. Joshua led his army on a daring overnight march to defend their allies, catching the enemy by surprise. As the battle raged, God hurled down hailstones from heaven, killing more enemies than Israel's swords. But the day began to slip away, and victory seemed at risk. Then Joshua prayed one of the boldest prayers in Scripture. Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon over the valley of Aijalon. Miraculously, God extended the day, and Israel secured a decisive victory. This event showed the nations that Israel's God was not just a local deity, but Lord of heaven and earth, able to command even the cosmos for his people. City after city fell: Lachish, Eglon, Hebron, Hazor. Each battle reinforcing that this conquest was no ordinary campaign, but a divine mission. Yet not every victory was immediate. Some strongholds resisted fiercely, and the Israelites faced long struggles. The conquest was both swift in parts and gradual in others, reminding the people that God's promises unfold in his timing, not theirs. But the greatest challenge was not military, it was spiritual. The Canaanites lived by practices steeped in idolatry and injustice, and Israel was constantly tempted to adopt their customs. The true purpose of the conquest was not simply to gain territory, but to establish Israel as a holy nation, set apart for God's law, justice, and worship. At last, when the land had largely been subdued, Joshua oversaw the division of the territory among the 12 tribes. Fields, cities, and pastures became the inheritance of each family, a tangible sign that God's ancient promises were being fulfilled. In solemn moments, Joshua gathered the people, reminding them to remain faithful to the covenant. "Choose this day whom you will serve," he declared, "but as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." The conquest of Canaan was not perfect. Israel stumbled, faltered, and often needed correction. Yet through it all, God's faithfulness remained unshaken. The once wandering people now had a homeland, not because of their strength, but because of his power and mercy. If you are loving this video, please hit both that subscribe and like button to help this message to spread far and wide. Check out the rest of the Bible Stories playlist to enjoy heartwarming events of the Bible brought alive. Thank you for supporting the Wake Up channel. God bless you.